And welcome back. My first guest is Gillian Ballard, the CEO of Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Welcome, Gillian.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, George, and our Supervisor Homan. It's a true pleasure to be with you once again.
Well, thank you so much. Big Brothers Big Sisters is really a great organization that I think it'll be a great opportunity for us to be able to speak about and have our viewers and the residents of Clarkstown learn more about. Before we get to speak about Big Brothers Big Sisters, why don't we talk a little bit just about yourself, how long you've been with the organization and what brought you to work for Big Brothers Big Sisters?
I have been employed by Big Brothers Big Sisters of Rockland for the past 22 years, and I was able to secure that position through the fact that I was providing the New City Chamber of Commerce office accommodation and getting that revitalized. And through the efforts of the Chamber, I actually was at that time serving on the Board of Trustees for the Historical Society, and Judge Weiner was one of the remaining judges who had brought the charter into Rockland. Mm-hmm. And I was being interviewed at the Chamber office, and Judge Weiner just called me because I was working on a committee for him, and that was the be-all and end-all of my hire. So I'm very grateful to retired Judge Weiner, and I'm very grateful to Big Brothers for an opportunity to serve our county's youth in so many ways. And we've expanded, as you know. At this time, our other mainstay program under the auspices of Big Brothers Big Sisters is the court-ordered visitation program. And we work for Family Court, and we provide visitation to the parent that's been removed from the home for some domestic violence or any type of abuse. And we actually hold that program on Thursday evenings and Saturday mornings at Building R in Pomona, right, courtesy of the County of Rockland.
So Big Brothers Big Sisters has been around a long period of time. How many children did you work with last year, approximately?
Yes, 312 approximately, if not more, throughout all the programming that we offer. The Big Brothers Big Sisters one-to-one model is unique. It's the only program of its kind throughout the United States, and by that I mean it's the only program that provides off-site mentoring. It carries a huge liability, so our overheads for insurance are very, very high. And the essence of the program is for a person to go into the life of a child that's considered to be at risk by whomever the referral is, and that person can be a mentor for 365 days a year for up to 11 years. So it's long term, and it's really, I have to say, not just because I'm involved, but the outcomes are humongous. Next week, which is June the 13th on Tuesday, we're going to be holding our annual graduation ceremony. So every child that attains the age of 18, we have the ceremony at the legislative office, and the legislators, provide certificates, and I can honestly say there's not a dry eye in the house, because both the mentor and the mentee go to the podium and give their own stories, and it's really terrific, because frankly many of these kids would not go on to college.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and what you're speaking about, and the mentoring aspect, but it's relationship building, and in very many cases, it's children that will have difficulty in developing a healthy relationship based upon the familiar circumstance that has befallen them. Either it's a situation of abuse or neglect. It could also be a situation where there's been a health issue or a mental health issue within the family. I mean, maybe you could speak a little bit to that. How do you find mentors to become involved in this program?
Well, I can honestly say, sitting in this chair, that I've wondered that year in and year out, but invariably there's always a waiting list. People telephone, people email, or they have perhaps retired and they want to give back to the community. People that have had children in the program or family members and they too want to give back. It runs the whole gambit of people volunteering, but the stringency of qualifying to become a mentor is humongous. The average background check is about $125. We do a fingerprint check. It's huge. We do a 7-point check and 3 reference checks. But once they are qualified, the matches invariably last 3 years and up. Rarely is it less than 3 years. Like I say, they can go up to 11 years because we accept children at the age of 7 through to the age of 18. And many of our mentors, once those children or youth at that point have reached the age of 18, they like to be re-engaged as mentors.
Right.
So there's always a case file of mentors and mentees.
And speak to me a little bit about from the mentor's perspective, because we'll talk a little bit about from the child's perspective as well, but from the mentor's perspective. So a person wants to become involved. They go through this lengthy and onerous process where they're really opening themselves up. They're opening themselves up to scrutiny, background check, references. They get through that process. So what should a mentor expect as they're kind of getting involved once they've kind of gotten through that phase when they're actually now going to be working with the child? So how often will they see the child, and what are some of the activities or things they would be involved with?
Well, they are great questions. And going back to the first, when anybody does apply to the office for an application, we have what we refer to as a pre-application. It outlines every stage of what is expected of them, one of which is a year's agreement that they have to sign. So they know that they have to be a mentor for at least a year, because these children have already, as you said earlier, been traumatized one way or another. So that's part of how we become selective, and frankly we track the number of inquiries that we receive and the number of people that actually do qualify to become mentors. Last year I want to say it was probably a third only. So once they have understood the obligations, let's say, the minimum is 4 hours a month that they have to see the child. But of course, once they really bond with that child, it becomes a fact of the child going to the weddings, to the children's proms. I mean, they become very engaged with their own family life. And then outside that, in terms of the other question with the activities, we have a list of all the child's challenges. And so if that child perhaps comes from a family where there's many siblings and the parent hasn't exposed that child perhaps to the library, that would be one of the goals. So it's cultural, it's educational, and it really exposes the children or the youth to horizons that perhaps they wouldn't have ever experienced, because the custodial parent is either not able to afford that or is invariably there from what the working poor families of our county.
Right. And we have just a couple of minutes left, but Big Brothers Big Sisters has some contracts, but you also do some fundraising. So maybe you could speak to how folks can be able to help support Big Brothers and Big Sisters.
Yes, well, thank you. We do always look for donations because we are a charity at the end of the day. We are a 501c3, so we depend on donations either through the website, where there's an online payment through PayPal. Of course, we do have our signature golf outing coming up on June the 25th. So anybody that wishes to support that, we're looking for golfers and tea sponsors. We then have mini fundraisers throughout the county, so that stores will perhaps give us a discount. So people would be invited to attend these stores and purchase something or buy a dinner, and a percentage would go back to the office, as I say. Every dollar that is provided to the agency goes into programming and services. We have attained our 6th Better Business Bureau accreditation. We're, like every other 501c3, audited every year. We've just passed 4 audits that put us in compliance with anything and everything. So I'm very proud to say that we run a very good operation outside the program and its mission, which is, I think, essential, and so do everybody that takes advantage of it. That would be the parents and the volunteers that become mentors. The program has been in existence for 34 years here in Rockland, and it's just very fulfilling to go into the office every day and know that every day each one of us makes a difference. And when we receive these thank you notes, or the kids stop in or put their head around the corner of the door and say, "Hello, Miss Gillian," and they're like 8 foot tall, and they've been with us since 7. You know, it's so rewarding job, and I feel so privileged to be able to be part of it.
So we'd like to encourage folks to support Big Brothers Big Sisters any way they can. Consider being a mentor, because you can really change a child's life, and what you'll probably find out is that you'll change your life more by the act of giving, but the opportunity to do that, and also support, whether it be the golf outing or straight donations or any other opportunities to help contribute to Big Brothers Big Sisters. So if you could give your contact info, how folks could be able to get in contact with you or to be able to support the agency or to learn more.
So anybody could telephone me at 845-634-2199 extension 5, or they could email me. It's a little convoluted. It's gballard, BALLARD, at bbsofrc.com. Invariably, I just say, well, go into the website and then you get it. Between my accent and the website and my name and everything else, it's easier to do that. So outside that, visit the website. I encourage everybody to visit the website, and then you'll see all the programs we run outside the one-to-one mentoring and the visitation. We have a school-based program, we have a tutorial program. We run several programs that we like to refer to as wraparound services to aid the lives of our county's youth, which is an investment into all of our future, Supervisor, because they will be the ones that will be sitting in these seats,
yes,
you know, and it's really, really important to acknowledge the fact that the youth are so important, and regardless of their background, regardless of their education, and possibly their daily challenges, everybody's entitled.
Absolutely. Gillian, thank you so much for being my guest, but more importantly for your 22 years of distinguished service with Big Brothers Big Sisters. You know, the not-for-profit community here in Rockland County is a small community. You know, I had the privilege of working for 21 years in the not-for-profit community, much of it here in the county of Rockland, as the former executive director of the Rockland Independent Living Center, now Bridges, and prior to that as the COO of Camp Venture. Then where I became familiar with Big Brothers Big Sisters, it really was when I was over at Abbott House as the Director of Services for the development of the disabled. Abbott House really worked in foster care primarily, and a number of the kids that were over here in Abbott House that were in foster care were also kids that were receiving some support services through Big Brothers Big Sisters. So I'm well acquainted with your work and the exceptional job that you've done and the agency does with so many of the youth within our community. I want to thank you, not just for being a good guest, but thank you for your long and distinguished service.
Very nice. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have been here today.
Thank you. So coming up, we'll have a tribute to the late Jerry Donnellan, the Director of the Veteran Service Agency for Rockland County. Stay tuned.